in Popular in Africa, we delve into the world of cakes, cookies, and everything sweet. Chef Eros, as is widely known, is the founder and CEO of everybody's favorite cake shop. Stay with us as he takes us into the cookie jar.
My name is Tolu Eros, popularly known as Chef Eros. I'm the founder and the executive chef of the Cookie Jar Bakery, Eros and Gourmet Foods, Breakfast at Eros, and Studio One Kitchen. Yes, I know it sounds like a lot. I'm a serial entrepreneur. I consider myself a culinary entrepreneur, even though I'm popularly known as chef. Gaps, to fill the identified gaps, particularly because what I always do and what I've always done with my business is I find a niche. So I realize that there is a need for a particular service or product, and what I do is I then create that product. So Cookie Jar, if I start with different businesses, Cookie Jar, for example, I felt like there was a need for a gourmet bakery brand that was delivering high quality products, a variety of cookies, cakes, cupcakes, and desserts. And there weren't a lot of people doing it, maybe over a few people, but doing it on a small scale. And I sort of wanted to set out to sort of fill that gap for a business that was doing it in a much larger scale, but still maintaining its quality. It's been a struggle, I must confess. It's been 5 years of really trying to get to that point where everything sort of works seamlessly. We've had challenges, but we've gotten through each and every one of those challenges, and we're gradually sort of filling in that gap that we set out to initially, which is delivering high quality products with exemplary services. With Eros and Gourmet, we set out to fill the gap in the finger food and canapé segment of the culinary industry. I did know at the time that there were a few chefs who were moving back or starting their own businesses, but at the same time, I felt like not a lot of them were focusing on Nigerian cuisine, and I love Nigerian food. I'm proudly Nigerian, and so what I set out to do was to provide quality bites that are indigenous, that are Nigerian, or at least have a Nigerian flavor and are recognizable by the Nigerian palate. And so we've set out to do that, and we've gradually filled that gap, and we're sort of like a pioneer in that industry of finger food and canapé catering, alongside the fact that we've started doing fine dining Afropolitan events. So 3 to 7 course dinners for intimate numbers, catering, mostly Pan-African, or I'll call them New Nigerian cuisine. And obviously with Breakfast at Eros, you all know that breakfast was so difficult to get until Breakfast at Eros came around, and now we're offering a variety of breakfast at a price that doesn't break the bank. There were breakfast options from restaurants and cafes, but you'll be looking at an average of 4,000 or 5,000 naira to buy a decent meal at Breakfast at Eros. The most expensive thing is 2,500 naira. First of all is knowing what the customers want. And so that's what we do a lot of times, is we're constantly doing feedback calls, doing research to find out what exactly it is that the customers want, to find out how we can satisfy them. But at the same time is also being discerning enough to put quality first, to know that it's not necessarily about the money. So we don't go into this business, look, I haven't gone into any business trying to make a buck. I went into the business to first satisfy a demand, you know, and then I knew that obviously at the back of my mind as a businessman, I knew that it would eventually turn into profits, which it has done. But yes, what we do necessarily predominantly is do research to find out what the customers want, and then we create products and tailor services to their needs. You see, the thing is, I think I inspire myself, to be honest. A mix of that alongside, I draw inspiration from everything around me. I'm a unique individual. Anyone who knows me knows that there is no two Tolu Eros. I am very different. I'm a little crazy. I try and tame that as much as possible. But I think what happens is I draw inspiration from the people around me. I draw inspiration from my family. I draw inspiration from my colleagues. I mean, I'm a self-taught baker, a self-taught chef. And how did I learn is by working with people who know, who have mastered the trade. It's by watching what other people are doing. It's by doing my research, reading around, but also by being original. So I'm inspired by my environment, and I basically feed off that, and I sort of create something that is unique to me, that is original, and that is definitely notable, the signature. I mean, I studied international business management, and economics was one of the majors. And in economics, they would always teach you about inflation. And so what you have to do is cushion your prices properly so that you're not constantly going up and down, up and down. There's been ridiculous price instability in the last 3 years, but especially in the last year and a half. What we did is, at the time when we were pricing, we ensured that we had marked up enough to be able to cover whatever instability to a certain extent. Obviously, at some point, there would be a price increase. But what we try and do as much as possible is find a way to focus more on delivering value. Right now, whilst there is less revenue being generated, and a hope for economies of scale. So we produce in larger quantities, and we're able to take advantages of those economies of scale by buying larger quantities from the suppliers directly, and not necessarily from the supermarkets or the retailers. The chocolate making is definitely one thing that I am interested in diversifying into, making it from scratch. So taking the beans and converting those beans into actual edible chocolate. And yes, dairy farming is something I started doing research about, and possibly working with a few brands first, and then learning, and then gradually setting my own up. But yes, I am looking to diversify and backwardly integrate. Identity, its unique identity, from the visuals. So Cookie Jar, for example, the panda is very visible. It's something that people, it's become like a household image. So you know it, you see it, and you recognize it. I believe that our asset lies in our branding and our colors and our style of service. Across all brands, you would find there is some relationship between all of them, and that is, we stay true to all of that. Of course, there are definitely risks to consider. You have the risk of accessibility to raw materials, which you have to first overcome by ensuring that you select ingredients that are locally sourced. Well, not necessarily locally manufactured, but are imported in good quantity by suppliers. There's also the risk of getting quality hands and keeping those quality hands. So what we try to do at Cookie Jar is keep our staff happy, and to offer a price or a salary that is unbeatable. And once we've gotten people to key into that, we're able to eradicate that risk. There's also the risk of new entrants. So there's constantly people coming into the business itself, you know, and as a result, you have to stay competitive, you have to stay relevant, and you have to constantly be innovative to stand above all. So a year ago, I would have said, don't do it. We're not ready. But I feel like gradually people are getting to understand the importance of quality and standardization. I even know that there is a governmental organization that has been set up to help with franchisees and franchisors. And I believe that in the next year or two, we will be in a position to help monitor, maintain, and implement good franchise strategies. It's something that I am looking into myself for the Cookie Jar brand alongside Breakfast at Eros. But I would say definitely don't rush into it. Make sure you are ready for it. Make sure you have your processes set, and that you understand your complete supply chain before you start to venture into franchising. So my target clientele or target audience would be the discerning foodies and sweet tooths alike. People who have a mature or maturing palate, who can identify with our ethos, which is quality products and quality taste. Because the truth of the matter is that people who cannot understand why we charge what we charge, because they can't tell the difference between a box mix and a made from scratch, which is very organic. So we're talking farm fresh eggs, you're talking fresh yogurt, you're talking what you call locally sourced ingredients, you're talking imported ingredients from high quality manufacturers. And the truth is that if we targeted the mass, they wouldn't understand and they wouldn't patronize. So we focus on the people who have educated their palate enough and tried things around the world and tried a bunch of different things to be able to appreciate what we serve. Because that's what I do this for personally. I find that my satisfaction is derived from delivering a culinary experience that people are wowed about, and I can't get the wow factor if you first don't understand my taste. And I'm compelled to serve those people simply because I want to have that, I want to enjoy that satisfaction. To be Africa's favorite confectionery and lifestyle brand, delivering high quality products and services, and delivering a culinary experience, you know. So my dream really is to be across Western, Southern, Eastern, and Northern Africa, and to even push for the boundaries of Africa into the rest of the world, to Europe, to the Americas, and to be that African brand that stands true to its African heritage and is internationally recognized.